Hello, all of you beautiful beings of light. Welcome to another episode of Fearless and Free. Today, I'm going to be talking with some new friends. Well, and I've had on before, but the other women that I'm bringing on are new to me. And we're going to be talking about the Global Healer Summit that's coming up. I've been invited to be one of the speakers and participating in the event. So I'm really excited to hear what they have to say and what's in it for you and getting to know each of these women and their own healing modalities. We are in an extraordinary time where so many people are waking up to the truth that we have the ability to heal our mind, body, heart, and spirit. So we're going to be focusing on that and some modalities that I think will help you. And before I bring them in, I just want to remind all of you that my Transcendence class is open. The next class starts in September. There are a couple of spots still available. I do keep this class very small and intimate so I can focus personally one-on-one attention for each one of you who are participating in the class. It's a really wonderful, intimate environment for you to make new friends and learn how to look at your life and your past and your story from an entirely new perspective so that you can move up that spiritual spiral, move through 4D and into 5D love-based consciousness with as much grace and ease as possible. And you can learn more about that class on my website at victoriareynolds.com. If you click on shop and you scroll down, you'll see my courses down there. So now let's bring on these beautiful ladies from the Global Healer Summit and see what they have for all of you. Good morning, ladies. It is so nice to see all of you here. And I'm really excited to be a part of this Global Healer Summit. Thank you so much for inviting me to be one of the presenters. And I'm really thrilled to be able to share all of you here today with the audience so that they can see what the Healer Summit is and how it benefits them. And I also hear from each of you about who you are and what the role is that you play and what this summit is and why it's so important for humanity to participate in this. I'm really, really excited. And I think we are going to start seeing more and more and more of these as people start waking up to their own possibilities within themselves. And I love this focus on healing and coming home to the loving truth that exists within each of us and the divinity that we have within each of us, the ability that we have when we work with spirit to be able to heal whatever our traumas and dis-ease is. And so first, I'm going to have Anne come on and talk a little bit about who she is and the work that she does. If you haven't seen Anne before, she was on the show a few months ago. Time flies, so it might have been 6 months ago. There is an episode back. You'll be able to find her in the healers section that I have in this show. So Anne, why don't you come on and tell everybody who you are and why you're here and what you're doing with the Healer Summit. And we're going to do a round table with all of you. So just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Awesome. So thank you, Victoria. So glad to be here with you and with my team here, whom I've gotten so close to. I think we're now inseparable since we've been working together on this summit. So a little bit about my background. So over 40 years as a clinical hypnotherapist, doing energy work as a Reiki master, and teaching guided meditation in nature and online as well. So I'm also a life coach, and I had an office in LA and Brentwood for a while and moved up to the mountains. And then when COVID hit, everything went online. So I do my coaching online, and sometimes people do meet with me. But that's a little bit about my background. I have a book also that's on Amazon called Moonlight Upon Wire. And it's about my journey from the islands to America and just sort of almost falling off the edge and how that spiritual thread was always consistent. And that sort of brought me back to wholeness, to center. And I have a YouTube channel as well. And every Tuesday, I do a live free meditation and wisdom talk on Facebook on Tuesday mornings. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now. And I'm also a vice president on the board of the Center for Spiritual Living in Yucca Valley, where I also do talks there as well. But I am so excited about the Global Healers Summit. I was a speaker in 2020 on there, and I believe Jody was as well. And it was so amazing. The vibration was so high. And it was like weeks later, I could still feel that vibration. But this year, I get to host with my friends and also speak on the summit as well. So I'm super excited about that.
Wonderful. And at the end of this episode, I'll have people actually, well, no, let's just not wait to the end. Why don't you let people know, one, your story of growing up in the islands and moving here to the US and all of that is really interesting. So for those of you who are looking for more about Annie, go back and find that episode, and I'll see if I can find it and put it in the description below, because
Awesome.
your story of growing up in the islands is really interesting.
Thank you. Yes.
And then what is the best way for people to reach you?
So people can find me at risingawareness.com. That's my website. And that's probably the best place to find information and to connect with me.
Okay. And is your YouTube channel listed there as well?
YouTube channel is called, yes, it is listed on there, but it is Wisdom Talks with Yasmin Ann. So Yasmin is my first name, but everyone called me Ann. When I first came from the islands and I had a heavy accent and I would say Yasmin, the kids would look at me like, what? So I said, okay, just call me Ann. And so that's what I go by now. It's just Ann.
Oh, I wondered about that, because the emails have confused me. I'm like, who's this Yasmin?
Well, my father, being from India, my mother from England. So my father was Muslim. He gave me the name Yasmin. My mother was Catholic and English, and she gave me the name Ann, very English name, Ann with an E. And so that's how those two names came together. And by the way,
and then where did the Hispanic name come from?
Oh, that was my ex-husband. And I only kept his last name because when we got divorced, I wanted my kids to just keep things sort of consistent for them as they went to school. And that was the purpose of doing that. But yeah, no Spanish, but everyone talks to me in Spanish. So,
well, we live in California, so everybody here speaks Spanglish anyway.
Right, exactly. I just want to add one more thing that for me is kind of important. So I grew up in a small community, and community and collaboration was the key that kept everybody to survive. Everyone was able to survive because of that sharing. And that's what I love about being able to do this Global Healer Summit. It's about all these wonderful, amazing people, including all of us, collaborating and sharing and just coming from our hearts. And that's innate within me and so important to me. So I always say we're at a space now where this consciousness has risen up, that there's no such thing as competition. It's all collaboration.
Competition is part of the old paradigm. Yep. And it is just where we are now, where those of us who are really focused on healing ourselves and healing the human experience, there is no competition. It's funny now. I laugh at people who are, I'm like, don't compete with anybody. And right. And even the judgment. So in this space of non-competition, we also let go of judgments about other people and how they choose to do things, because everyone is doing things the best they know how. Right. And the love and the acceptance of others is really an extraordinary place for us to be. And thank you so much for reminding us of the importance of community, because that is what we're doing here. And that's what so many other people are doing as well with the summits that they're creating. It's really creating community, even though it's a global community. It's still a community where people can come together in one heart and one spirit and one love, and know that they're supported regardless of who they are and where they're from. So I'm going to go now to Rochelle. Is that how you pronounce your name?
It is, yes.
Okay. And I'm new to you. So tell us all about you, who you are and where you're from and your background, whatever it is you want to share with us about you.
Yes. Oh, Victoria, we are so blessed to be on here with you today. Thank you so much. This really feels like a great venue for us to really spread the word for for our event and make a bigger splash in the world for peace and love and oneness and the energy that we are all about, right? So I come up from a background of 30 some odd years in the sports medicine field. And so I have this Western medicine concept within me. And then in the past, probably about 15 years, I started moving toward energy medicine and becoming more involved with Qigong and the energy world. And I didn't realize how already integrated it was within me, but it became more prevalent. And as a result of that, I became a life coach, and then I started working in energy medicine and have been doing some really with the connection of Source. I want to give all my credit to Source. I just feel like I'm the conduit that brings this forward, right? But I'm working with people in emotional release and trauma release kinds of things, because I've been gifted the ability to see the trauma that is there and to even know when they stored it. And so I'm able to lift it out and help them recover from it. And all that came because I was dealing with my own traumas and trying to figure out why, after a full lifetime of working in personal development and, God is love and all of the powerful manifestation kinds of concepts, I was still carrying around this big cloud like Pigpen, And so when I dug into that in meditation, it came full circle, and I was able to see it and what it was about and what it was for. And now they also gifted me the ability to see, how to help others that way. And so I feel so grateful to, have been gifted those experiences. And now I'm, working in the world of energy and Source and helping people bring the concepts of oneness and radiate love out into the world. I've just written a book. It's to be published literally in a week. Radiate, change your frequency, change your life. And so that is sort of the impetus behind the subtitle in our Global Healer Summit, which is so exciting to be a part of this. I was also a speaker in the last summit. And so 3 of us were invited then to oversee the development of this one. And aligning with the frequency of health is sort of the impetus behind my book as well. And so we brought that into the subtitle and the theme for our Global Healer Summit this year. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. It's just, I just feel the energy just exploding out into the world. And the purpose is, like you guys were talking about before, not for competition, not to, put one modality against another or one practitioner against another, but to bring everybody together in this force for oneness in the world. And so that's why I'm here today.
Oh, wonderful. One of the things that I really love about the work that you do, and I'm really seeing this as you were speaking, is you have the ability to integrate physical medicine with spiritual medicine. And that's not something that a lot of people have that background in, because you've actually worked on the physical body. I imagine that you are a physical therapist. Or
sports
something
medicine.
along
I was
those
on the
lines?
sidelines. Yeah, I was on the sidelines. Athletic trainer was the official title, but on the sidelines, literally taking care of the emergency needs and the therapy of athletes
Right.
for their competition. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a background in orthopedics, so I've worked with a lot of the sports med doctors in California, in Los Angeles area. And so I understand what you're talking about. And that's what I mean, how you've actually worked with people with their physical injuries, and you understand how the energy now you understand spiritually how the energy gets trapped in those physical traumas. So you have a really unique approach to the healing that you do, where you're able to integrate the understanding of the physical trauma, the physical body, along with how we energetically respond to physical and emotional trauma, and how emotional trauma actually can lodge itself within the physical body as physical trauma. So I love that you're able to bridge those 2 worlds. It's not something a lot of people have the ability to do. So I really celebrate that. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
Yeah, thank you. It has been a really interesting, and my mission, we, in the energy world, we sort of give the Western medicine, allopathic world, sort of a bad note, right? And my mission is to help bring the two together, because we really are working toward the good of the patient. Unfortunately, the systems are a little bit off, but the people are really working toward the good of the patient. And I think if we blend those two, I don't know if it's psychologies exactly, but the two concepts, we can make even a bigger impact.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you're creating that bridge, because allopathic medicine isn't, yeah, people are giving it a bad rap, but the truth is most of it is necessary. If you break your leg, you need to go to the doctor. You can't sit at home and put oil on it.
Right.
You got to go have it set back in place. So there really does need to be a bridging of both of those modalities in order for real, genuine healing. And I love that you have the ability to do that. So how will people find you if they're needing your services?
Also, my website is infiniteliving.com, and that is a good way to reach me. And there's an information messaging kind of system within my website. So if somebody wanted to reach me directly, they could just send me an email that way.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So now I'm going to move on to Jody Curtis. And Jody, tell us a little bit about you. And I understand that you're the lead in this Global Healers Summit. And so why don't tell the audience about who you are and the summit, and then we can expand further on this conversation that we had before we came on camera.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having us on. Just to clarify, I'm not the lead. I'm just the technical aspect of the three of us. Okay. So that's more my forte. So we've all brought speakers in and worked together on the whole project.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. And it's been a great experience so far. And we're just very excited to introduce all the wonderful presenters that we have. And it's interesting talking about this, bringing everything together, because when I was 31, and I always say this only because it set the stage for myself and my healing journey. I always was interested in, spirituality and all kinds of things since I was a young kid. When I was 30, up until my 30s, I lived in and managed an assisted living home and got my med certificate, handed out meds. I worked for a pharmaceutical company for a short amount of time doing clinical trials. I have a varied experience in a wide variety of different healing modalities and systems. And so when I was 31 and diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and ended up going through chemo, but also doing my own energy work and everything, I began something. I was inspired to create something called the Trinity Project, which was my vision of bringing all of the body, mind, spirit modalities together. It was an idea that I had to have like a website available where anyone in the world that had a healing thing that worked for them, whether allopathic medicine or, going to the Amazon rainforest or whatever it was, they could write about it. And then people could find, when they were facing an illness or some sort of trauma or healing crisis, they could look at this and see what stood out to them, because that's what I learned when I was going through it. God or source or whatever word you give for, that which gives us life, gave me little hints about things that would help me. Just out of the blue, like I would get downloads of things to do to heal myself. And so I felt that it would be very valuable to have some sort of place where people could go and see what stood out to them to heal themselves, and I still am very passionate about that, because I agree with you. As much as I lean toward the power and the magnificence of the human body and the fact that it's always trying to find homeostasis. I mean, that's what it's doing, is always trying to find its highest and best state. And all we really need to do is have the tools to be able to help it do that. But yes, if you break your leg or your kidneys are failing or something, you're going to need a different modality. So one of the things I'm super excited about with the Global Healer Summit is the variety. We just have such an interesting variety of presenters, because, and the same thing with doing the Trinity Project, there are so many different healing modalities that have all different kinds of, people think all different kinds of things about them. But, whatever you're called to do, if you're dealing with your own healing issues, I would say go for that. And so with the Healing Summit, the Global Healer Summit, bringing these presenters forward, I just think it'll be really interesting to see who vibrates with which people and which modalities, and just to sort of, for the watchers to pay attention to what kind of lights up in your mind to
Right.
look more into, just to experience more of, because don't discount something because you don't understand it. We don't have to understand electricity to get shocked, or gravity to step off a cliff and go down. You don't have to be a believer in it for it to still exist. And that's how I view energy work. Like, people will say in the work that I teach, well, I just don't believe in that. Well, you don't have to, but it's still a universal law that continues to be in action in life, And so that's one thing that I will be presenting, is this ancient Tibetan breath work that I teach, that I have been, after chemo, was guided out here to the middle of the desert to buy a house sight unseen, so I could work at the Institute of Mental Physics, bringing these ancient wisdom teachings back into action in the universe today. So I'm passionate and excited to share that.
Wonderful. That's exciting. And how do people reach you?
I have a website, jodycurtis.com, that has a bunch of information on there. And then there's also a separate scienceofmentalphysics.com website that has information about the Tibetan teachings.
So what I love is that we're integrating spiritual healing with physical healing, and that it feels like this extraordinary time for humanity, where it isn't an either or, it's a bridging of both. Mm-hmm. And one of the other things I want to share with people is that when I first had my spiritual awakening, well, I've had multiple awakenings through my life, but the one in 2008, that was my big changing the entire path and direction of my life, as has happened with each of you. There's that moment, right, that creates the great shift, the catalyst that shifts us and takes us down a different path. So when that started happening for me in 2008, and I was given this transcendence process that I teach, I at first was like, oh, what I teach, nobody needs anything else. Like, this is it. It healed me. It can heal anybody else. And then a friend of mine was like, but that's not true, because every person is different. Every body is different. Mm-hmm. And that no one modality is the end all be all for anybody. And when I finally got my ego out of my way is the best way and the only way, then I started trying other people's modalities. Now I do. Now I'll sit with it. I'll ask myself, who do I need to reach out to? So it's really important for people to not get stuck on one modality thinking it's the miracle, or or for any of the teachers to think that their way is the only way, because every human being is different. Our bodies, our minds, our hearts, our traumas, our stories all respond differently to different people.
Right. Yeah.
That took me a while to grasp, because at first I was like, but everybody I know is doing the same thing. Until you start to understand that there are people who will just feel a resonance with you and with the work that you do, and feel a resonance with multiple people. And that's why this competition and ego has to just go by the wayside, because the work that we do might sound very similar, but our approaches are different, our energies are different, our personalities are different. The connection that people have with me is going to be different than the connection that they have with any of you. And so it's really important for people to understand, to trust more than anything your own inner guidance when it comes to what healers they work with and what modalities feel best and right for their particular body and their particular circumstances.
So I just wanted to say, Victoria, that's why everything you guys are all saying, I kept thinking about align with the frequency of health. And that word frequency just kept popping out right behind Rochelle's head there. and I feel like that's the key. There is a frequency and alignment. And you're right, for each person, it's going to be very, very, very different. And that's the exciting thing, like Jody was saying about the Global Healer Summit. There's going to be something for everyone. And I just want to go back and touch on, combining modern, regular medicine, conventional medicine with, more spiritual healing. When I was sitting in this doctor's office about over 13 years ago, and my life changed completely. When he says, you've got rheumatoid arthritis, that's autoimmune, you've got osteoarthritis, blah, blah, blah. And he goes through the whole spiel. And by the way, I have this medicine I can give you, that will help you. And I've had surgeries, I've had C-sections with my kids. So yes, and I agree with Jody, you break a leg, you've got to go to the doctor, So yes, that does fit. So I think all of us are in agreement with bridging that, conventional medicine with all of the wonderful spiritual work that we do. But for me, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was sitting there, he went out of the office, and this voice was so loud inside of me. It says, don't take the medicine. And I just said, I'll see you later. I went out and sat in my car, closed the door, and screamed really loud and went, why me, blah, 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 going through all that. Well, because of that, I opened up some sort of portal, and the download was so strong, I could not deny it. So for me, I had to align with the frequency of what was right for me. And for me, for this particular thing, I had to go natural. Now, I know other people that take the, conventional medicine for, autoimmune diseases, and it works for them. But this was what worked for me. So I just love what you guys are all saying about how specific and individual. And that's why it's so important to have all of us and all those lovely people we're going to have on that's sharing their particular work. Oh, and I wanted to touch on something, Jody. So I just learned some things about my partners here that I didn't know. And so I learned some things that Rochelle was sharing, because we're on, working to put this together, but we don't get much time to really talk personally. And Jody, you shared about the Trinity. And ever since I was a kid, the triangle was so powerful to me. And so I knew that whatever I did had to be body, mind, and spirit. And so I even have a logo drawn up, and I was going to open the spiritual center with this triangle on it. So who knows? That might still happen.
Well, I think what Victoria said about tuning into your own intuition, everyone has that power and ability. We are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. And we have a direct line to the power that gives us life if we only tune in. Right. And, not to get too deep into it, but I always am fascinated by the term, like sin back in the day it was an archery term that meant to miss the mark. So how I view things is basically we're either in alignment with that energy or we're not. We're in our human, we're in love, or we're in fear outside of that, right? And so when we're in line with that and we're connected, all kinds of answers come for each of us individually. What would be the best course of action for, and when people come to me because having cancer, like I'll get calls, oh, my friend, my brother, uncle has cancer. What should I do? And I always think, well, you should ask them what they feel that they need, because the tendency when someone is sick is for their loved ones to be like afraid they're going to die. So they want to, what worked for me is drinking this tea and doing this, and you have to do that and you have to eat that. But in reality, it's so different. Like you said, Victoria, for every single person, that what they need is space to go within, and maybe like some sort of, representation of all the different possible modalities that they could that have worked in the past, so that they can have that time to tune in to what would be right for them at any given time. And it could change, it does change as time goes on. And so I don't know, I just think that's the most important thing for anybody going through any type of healing crisis is, and then the gifts, is just tuning in, and then so many gifts come out of it, as well, as we can all attest to,
And that's the value of the Global
Yes.
Healer Summit. We have 32 different modalities coming forward to share
Right.
their gifts, and people will resonate, just like you said, Victoria, people will resonate with something different because of who they are or who we are. And we will be able to touch, a chord inside of different people in different ways based on the needs that they're seeking. And so that's the value of this Global Healer Summit. Each individual is actually offering, in the middle of their talk, an opportunity for individuals to experience the healing that happens. And
Right.
I want to reiterate here that nobody can make anybody heal. Not doctors, not energy workers, not
Right.
healers. It is absolutely vital that the human body come into alignment for that healing. And that's what this is about, is that we help people come into their own body's alignment so that their body knows what to do after that, gets the blocks out of the way so the body can do its own work.
Right. I just want to say something really quickly about what Jody was saying too. And well, all of us actually.
Absolutely.
It's trust. So yes, there is that inner voice and that guidance, and that's what we need to finally listen to, no matter what information we've gathered. But trust is the key. And so many people I work with don't trust those subtle little things that come up.
I have a website, jodycurtis.com, that has a bunch of information on there. And then there's also a separate scienceofmentalphysics.com website that has information about the Tibetan teachings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love this. We're bringing what's starting to happen is that we're bringing in these ancient healing modalities that have been used for thousands of years very effectively.
So trust, I find, is the biggest question that comes up with anyone I talk to, not just clients, just people in general. And I'm sure you both find that as well.
Right.
It's like, listen to that voice within. And there are all these messages that come to the surface, but people can't discern. I think that's the key. They don't know how to discern what's truth for them and what isn't.
Is how it feels. So a lot of people don't know how to discern the difference between overthinking things and then trusting their feeling, their intuitive guidance.
Our focus to back to the Healer Summit, we've got some amazing keynote speakers as well as all the others. And I just like to highlight them if we could. Does that seem like an okay thing?
Absolutely.
Okay. Summit is a 3-day event on September 8th, 9th, and 10th. And we have 6 keynote speakers, one that opens the morning of each day and one that opens the afternoon of each day. And they are just powerful, amazing individuals. One of them is Gary Malkin, who is a 7-time Emmy Award-winning composer. And he is going to be opening. He's the actual first keynote speaker on the opening day. And he's going to be talking about the fire of frequency and how music can address the inner healing that can go on in our bodies when we align with the frequency of music. And then in the same music realm is Peter Sterling, who is a world-renowned harpist who has 12 albums out, and he's also an artist, but he's just this most beautiful, spiritually aligned individual who is going to be showing us the messages that come from source through his harp. And that frequency is just really powerful. He lives in Sedona and leads beautiful retreats in the Sedona hills and provides spiritual healing for them as well. And Dr. Clint Rogers, a lot of people are becoming familiar with him. He wrote the book, Ancient Secrets of a Master Healer. and he has got an international following of that book because they brought forward the 4,000-year-old secrets that came down from the lineage of Buddha. And so he's going to be showing his special ways that he brings love into the healing process. And that is so, so powerful. And who else do we have? We have
Dr. Smita and
yes.
Krishna.
What about those people, Jody, Smita and
Sure. So Dr. Smita and her son Krishna, along with Dr. Pankaj Naram, who passed away a couple years ago unexpectedly, they have founded many, many Ayurvedic clinics all over the world called Ayushakti Ayurveda, and they have helped facilitate healing for millions of people around the world. I mean, like Mother Teresa, the Dalai Lama, kings and queens, just amazing. And Dr. Smita is a detox specialist, along with rebuilding up the body and creating vibrant health and energy. And so their presentation I'm excited for. They always give great nuggets. And so Dr. Clint G. Rogers' book is based on his work following around Dr. Pankaj Naram for 10 years all around the world, documenting these healings. And so that book came out of that. And then we have over 30 amazing speakers, featured speakers. My friend Angela Montano has something called Rethink Prayer, and her topic for the summit is called Is Prayer Medicine? She has facilitated, thousands and thousands of prayer healings, if you will, over her lifetime. We have
keynote.
Additional keynote. We have James Gilliland also.
Yes.
And do you want to talk a little bit? Actually, I'll mention Sheila. Sheila K. Collins is the author of many books. She's done a TED Talk. She is also my daughter's grandmother, and she has a really powerful message on the art of grieving. She lost 2 of her 3 children, and so that began her lifelong work on, the process of grieving, and how, kind of in her words, or in the way she expresses it, it's like we all are going to experience grief in our life. So we might as well get good at grieving, like have it be a sacred and wonderful process, right? Hence the art of grieving. So Anne, why don't you talk about James and James.
So James is actually someone that Rochelle brought in. So if you want to mention James.
Yeah, James Gilliland is the caretaker, he calls himself, of the ESETI Ranch, which is in Washington. ESETI are letters, an anagram letter that stands for Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And he has been communicating with the ET world for over 30 years and has all kinds of messaging coming through. Over his ranch, there's always, every single night at his ranch, there's always spacecraft. And so I have had the opportunity to spend some time there and enjoy the ethereal energy that goes along with these communications that you get from the extraterrestrial world. And so James can tell us amazing information with regard to ET communication and what they're bringing to us.
So I just wanted to mention that, as all of us did, I brought in a variety of speakers from, I'm not sure the exact word, but Elliot Tanzer has been working since the 70s in Hawaii, and he has many books out also, and he does astrology, but also can map out the best places for each person to live on this planet so that there's an abundance of health and money and all that they need. So he's very interesting. And I also brought on another speaker called Victoria Reynolds. And she is absolutely amazing. I was so excited to have her on, and I'll let you talk in a minute about what you're going to do. But I thought it'd be nice for each of us to mention also what we're speaking about. Like, I'm going to talk about that we are multidimensional beings. We live in a multidimensional universe, and we have access to everything. And my new book that I'm working on just started is called There Is No Veil. And so I'm truly excited about that. Victoria, did you want to mention what you're going to talk about? Oh, did Victoria go away again?
Yeah, I think she's frozen.
So maybe you guys.
Sure. Well, I wasn't planning on. I am one of the speakers. So I will be
You're cutting out.
talking about spiritual healing. I have a background in spiritual psychology, and yeah, my internet's unstable. I don't know why. I don't normally have an internet issue, but I'm having an internet issue this morning.
Frequency.
Sending love to my transponder that it's.
I think we're all too just powerful here. So
yeah, normally it's good. I don't know what's going on this morning. So it's a good thing I can edit. I'm be talking about heart healing. So when all of you talk about mind, body, spirit, the message I've been getting the last few years is that it's also mind, body, heart, spirit, and we need to. I'm be talking about heart healing. So when all of you talk about mind, body, spirit, the message I've been getting the last few years is that it's also mind, body, heart, spirit, and we need to integrate the heart into everything we do, because we are creating a new heart-based, love-based reality. And the hearts of humanity have been broken by fear. Mm-hmm. So the work that I do is on healing the human heart, and that is healing our attachments and perceptions and to our stories. So we all have stories. Mm-hmm. We've all experienced trauma in our lives. Mm-hmm. My focus is on healing those traumas from a spiritual perspective and healing those traumas within our hearts so that we can move into a more loving space within ourselves. As we know, love is the energy that creates and heals all things. And so my focus is on teaching people how to love every aspect of their lives and how to heal their hearts so that their hearts work to their fullest potential.
And that's why I came up with this.
Yeah.
There's the heart center. So, Rochelle, what are you talking about?
Thank you. And how exciting. First of all, Victoria, I don't want to miss your talk. It sounds like it's just going to be really awesome. And part of it is because I've been in my work, one-on-one work, I've been connecting with people's hearts lately. And probably for the last, like you were saying, 2 or 3 years, it's been showing me that the final healing that needs to take place is the releasing of our hearts, the opening and the softening of our hearts and the healing of our hearts, so that everybody can elevate to their highest potential. So my talk is entitled Manifest Your Destiny, 3 R's to unleashing your emotional freedom. And that also is dealing with the heart. It's sort of like 3 transformative steps to fall in love with you in a bigger, more powerful, more serene and peaceful way. And, really increase the expanded version of who you are and what you want for your life. And, how you want to step into that space. So my unique modality brings forward those kinds of possibilities, dealing with trauma, releasing trauma, and allowing people to just expand into the spiritual frequency of who they are. So I'm really excited about that. And how about you, Jody? What is it?
Well, I want to go get myself a ticket right now to this book. I am going to be teaching, the topic title is Breathing Your Way to Health. And so it's going to be an introduction to the breathwork, meditation, and affirmations that come directly from the teachings from Tibet that are thousands of years old, from the monasteries of Tibet. And, during the pandemic, it really became apparent to me that about the breath. I went online like everyone else and began teaching online with different people, which opened us all up to a global group. And just thinking about the breath of life, the breath without which there is no life, and how we all breathe that same air, and because we're all connected, and so it just opened up during the pandemic about the breath with everybody. struggling to breathe the most effective way that they could. Right. I just thought a lot about it. And so I'm going to be teaching about how to use your breath in ways you've never done before to activate and store prana or like soul source energy within your cells. So we actually can take the time, and it doesn't even take that long. It's just like meditation for 2 minutes can align you, in a different way for your day. It's the same thing by honoring your sacred breath of life, how you can actually regenerate your entire physical body. And, right. And I just wanted to say one more thing. We were talking earlier about you can do all the thinking and therapy and talking about everything, but until you get into your body where the trauma is, right. Because I used to write, I still write, but I would try many different ways in my mind to heal myself. And it wasn't until I found the breath work that I got into my body and found, this is where the healing actually takes place. This is where the energy can go to do the shifting, is in the physical being. And so I think for me, and maybe other people too, that's a new understanding, that there's such power that we have when we take that time to go in and access our own inner body wisdom and our emotional guidance system. Like you're talking about, how does it feel, Victoria? We have this system within us to be able to discern these things. And so it's, one of my jobs on the planet, I feel, is just to help other people to get more clear, just like you guys, just to help people get more understanding and wisdom and awareness and clarity around all the tools and skills they already have inside their own being. So I'm just really excited. I'm excited to hear all your talks too. And it is nice to learn more about each of you, Anne and Rochelle, as we've gone along, and meet you, Victoria. So thank you so much.
I just want to touch really quickly, and then we should talk about how people can find the Global Healers Summit, that every morning breath is so key. And every morning I tell people, before I even get out of bed, before I put my feet on the floor, I take a deep breath and I say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I get to be here another day.
Is that why you look so young and vibrant?
Thank you. I'll take that. Thank you.
True.
Back to you, Victoria.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to go back to Rochelle to let everybody know how to find the Global Healer Summit, how to register, what the details are, anything you want to share as we close out today.
You can register on Eventbrite, and on Eventbrite, that will be listed up. I assume we can list that in the links below so that you can just click on those and get right in there. But if you actually just go to eventbrite.com and you put in Global Healer Summit, it will come up as well.
Mm-hmm. We also have a website, globalhealersummit.info.
Nice.
And if you click on under presenters tab, you click on each of the individuals' picture or their name, it'll bring up their bio. And then also there's a schedule on the website as well. So that'll be always updated. So each presenter, you'll know when each presenter is speaking.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for being here this morning and for sharing your beauty and your gifts with the world and your healing modalities and your light, of course, and for being who you are and for being one of the way showers for the rest of humanity as they start waking up and understanding what we are capable of individually and collectively as we move out of this old fear-based reality and into this new reality that's based in love, and that we will get there. And summits like this make all the difference in the world for so many people who are ready to now move forward with higher loving and spiritual resonance in their lives, and understand that the healing is something we all have access to. And thank you for coordinating this amazing event. I know that it's going to make a huge difference for a lot of people. Thank you all for being here, and for all of you who are watching, thank you for being here. Be sure to click the link below, go to the website, get registered. It is going to be an amazing event. It's something that you're going to want to listen to and be present, because every person who is teaching and speaking at this event has something really, really valuable, that there's going to be something in there for everyone, and you will walk away with nuggets of wisdom that you probably have never heard before, and that I believe could radically shift your life. Again, thank you all for being here, and we'll see you again soon. As I always say, remember, this is out to the audience, to shine your light so high others can't help but see their own light. Together, we are creating a world of love, peace, harmony, prosperity, and freedom for all life on earth. And as always, get bold, be fearless, and live free.